How are y'all doing? Hello, John 3:17 in the house. Yeah. So nice to see you guys again. Hello, Freedom Talks out there in Freedom Land. Okay, we're glad you're joining us as well via the intranet or the YouTube or the faceplant or the whatever it is that you're on. We're grateful that you're joining us again. So thank you. We welcome you guys out there. So good to be back with you guys. My name's Clay. I'm a grateful Christian. So that's about it. It's about all I know, is that I'm grateful to be saved. I need saving. I can't be right. I'm not smart enough to figure out what everything is right. So I just count on being saved, okay, instead of being right about everything. It looks like we got a few new faces. If you're brand new and you have not encountered one of my discussions, then just hold on, okay? Hold on, talk to some of these guys that have been here in the program a little bit longer, and maybe they can help dissuade your confusion. Although I will say confusion is our friend, okay? It's really always been our friend, and they told you it was an enemy. From little on, they said, hey, get rid of that confusion, which would probably be maybe okay if that was possible, but it's impossible, okay? So I kind of think we should make friends with confusion instead of fight it. It's not the enemy. It's really not. So if you are somewhat confused, hang in there and talk to someone who's been around a little bit, and maybe they can help you. And for those who your familiar face, it's just nice to be back with you. I promise you, it does my heart good to be here with you guys. So thank you for letting me come back. You keep inviting me back. It's probably because you can't find anybody to come, but they do a real good job pretending, okay, that you like me to be here, and so we'll keep doing that. I'm just kind of kidding, not really. I know y'all are kind. So it was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, that I was here last, and we were talking about identifying emotions. If you were here, do you remember kind of how we were setting that up? And so that was pretty much focused on identifying what we're feeling, and we're going to play off of that and go a little bit further into the process, if that's okay with you. Because one of the greatest challenges that we have, at least in this culture, I'm talking about this country, this Western civilization culture, is learning how to process the stuff that we feel. And it's really a big challenge, and we don't get much help with that as we're kind of growing up. We just don't. So that's one of the reasons we're kind of focusing in on that. So I'll get over here to the whiteboard here in probably just a minute and put something up so I can kind of keep up with where I'm at, but that's the direction that we want to go. So I know they can't hear. I'll repeat for those out in Freedom Talkville. I'll repeat, but I'm going to quiz you. Do you remember the 4 basic human emotions? Mad, sad, glad, and the one what don't rhyme? Scared or scarred. You can say scarred. If you're from Texas, you can say scarred, which means I've been cut and there's a mark, or you jumped out and scarred me. So mad, sad, glad, and scared. That's our 4 basic human emotions. And we condense it down like that because it's just easier to work with. Of course, there are other words that mean the same thing that you can use, and there's a multiple list of words that tries to hone in on some of the nuance and complexity that comes with human emotion. That's okay too. I just don't want to remember all of them. So I reduce it down to these. So of the choices of the stuff that we could feel, mad, sad, glad, and scared. Now, I can't remember if I got to this last time, but I want to now. Here's another challenge of our culture. As we grow up, we tend to get funneled into a way of thinking, and we organize around many items in life in what I call, the either or proposition. The all or none, the either or, the positive or the negative. And so if you look at everything in life through that lens as if it's one or the other, we run into some real complexity because everything in life is not either or, positive or negative. It's just not. There are some things in life that are absolutely positive. There are some things in life that are absolutely negative, but everything in life shouldn't be funneled or shoved into that category. Does that kind of make sense? Nobody tells us that. We kind of grow up and we just inherit that way of thinking and processing. So if that's the case, if we had to funnel our emotions into the either or, and we've probably said that, let's make them positive or negative, which we shouldn't, but if we had to, mad would be negative, sad would be negative, scared would be negative, and glad would be positive. So if we are trapped in that kind of organization with all of the stuff that you possibly could feel, 75% of the options we think are negative. And negative is bad. And negative should be controlled. And negative should be conquered and eliminated. You see where I'm going. And we've mentioned this before, but I'm just kind of reviewing you and letting ones who hadn't been maybe get a foothold. So here we are trying to live a life organized around emotion, which everybody has, and we think 3 of the 4 are negative. And even when we are glad, we'll look at that here in just a minute, it kind of scares us when we're glad. Because we know, well, this ain't gonna last. Or, you ever kind of waited for that other shoe to drop? Things are going good, but by gosh, it's not gonna last. My grandmother always used to say, we'd go visit and she was so happy, and right a day before she goes, well, it's all over now. And we're like, well, we got another day to visit. Nope, it's all over now. So you're leaving again. So anyway, don't feel too sorry for her. She was pretty mean. And so even when we're glad, we get this weird feeling of something is either going to happen or this isn't right. So let's dive into the process. First, let's take away the characterization of emotions being either positive or negative. They're just facts of life. They're neither. They are not positive or negative. They are simply facts. This will be new ways of thinking for some of you, because your whole life you've been organized around emotion, as being a problem. Emotion can facilitate problematic behavior, no doubt, especially if I don't have a good way of processing it. So there's some connection there, but it's not a cause and effect relationship. The way to manage life, I promise you, the way to manage life is not found in learning to control your emotions. And that's probably close to the opposite of what you've heard most of your life, which makes it a brilliant strategy of the evil one if he can get everyone convinced of trying to do something that's literally impossible. It's a pretty good strategy, especially if we're not aware. Emotions are really not to be controlled. As we said last time, our actions and our behaviors must be. I have to control what I do and what I say. That's what I'm called to. That's where I'm responsible for that. I have to answer for that. I do not have to answer, or I'm not responsible for what I'm feeling. I'm simply feeling it. That in and of itself is a major shift in the way we think about emotions. A fancy word for that is, remember they said that's a paradigm shift. I just took it for granted. I don't know what paradigm means, okay, but that's what they said. It's a shift in the way you think or the way you're organized around an idea. And so, if you remember, and this is a gamble. See if we get one that works. What are the odds? Yay? Yay. Work? Nay. Yay. All right. You've already said, we'll write them up here. We got mad, we got sad, we got glad. I was going fast. I actually do know how to spell sad. There's a lot of words I'm questionable, but the 3-letter ones I get most of the time on that. There's our 4 options, and we put them up there. Remember, they're not positive nor they're negative. But if you remember, the process that we kind of inherit are, I don't know if you remember this. We reject. Remember, rejection of our emotions? There's no doubt we try to reject it if we believe them to be negative. I don't want negative things. So I try to get mad away. I try to get sad away, get scared away. Well, life won't let you do that. It just won't, because there's a lot of things in life that you get mad and you get sad and you get scared about. So life won't allow you to do that, but here we are trying to reject, and we try to avoid, remember, and then in likeness to that, we're hiding. So this kind of catches us up. You remember kind of where we are then, right? What we want to replace reject, avoid, and hide with, I'll remind you. Does anybody want to help? Accept. Okay, good. That's what we're trading. We're going to accept as opposed to reject. I'm going to accept them maybe just as facts of life. Maybe as the image of God. We talked about setting all that metaphor up. And that was nice. Instead of avoid them, I'm going to what? Okay. I'm going to feel. I'm going to feel what's there because it's there. And then the last one, okay, we're going to share. Now, that's the process, the healthier process that we want to move from. And some of the things we've already talked about, or we kind of know why we do this, and we want to move, okay, to learn how to be able, okay, to do that, to accept, feel, and share. So, we're going to take a couple of them and see if we can break it down in a way that might help us. So, sound all right so far? So good. So, as we're growing up, you remember, we begin to reject these because that's the message we get basically from our family, from our school, from our other social networking communities. That's what we get. They say, control, don't be mad, don't cry, okay, settle down. I'm translating now. Remember when you were a kid? Don't be mad, don't cry, settle down, you're stupid. Okay, that's the message I got. You're stupid to be scared because there's nothing to be scared about. Will somebody tell that scared inside of me to not be there, you know? I don't know what to do with it. I heard that I'm not supposed to be scared, but I actually was scared. What do you do with that? What do you do with that when you're little? You're in a catch-22. Where do you go? Nobody sits down and talks to you because mom and dad don't know no better than we do. They're just doing the same thing we've been doing for hundreds of years. Well, it's a bind. So we learn to reject. Eventually, whether we know it or not, we begin to pretend. You remember this? I pretend that I'm not. It is the only thing I know to do. There's no other option than to become an award-winning actor and actress. And some of us never win awards. We're not very good actors. Some are better, some are not. But we're left with, so we have to pretend. And if we pretend long enough, if I reject what I am feeling long enough, I start to lose a conscious awareness of what I'm feeling. And that's when we get to the people who are proclaiming, if asked, what are you feeling? Don't know. Nothing. I'm numb. We hear this. Now, I'm talking about humanity in general. I'm not talking about just using chemicals. That's a simplified numbing out, right? That's a mechanical numbing out, like, hey, if I don't like what I'm feeling, I can do this, or even if I'm having a good time and I want to celebrate, I can do that. That's interesting, isn't it? You ever think about that? Think about something good happening and being glad. And what do we want to do? Celebrate. Which means, let's translate that. That means screw it up. Things are going so good, I'm so happy, I'm going to celebrate. And screw it up. Got a big promotion. Let's screw it up. Why do you think when we feel glad or happy or something's going on like that, that we have this pull to celebrate? Wonder why we don't just sit in our happiness. I got a theory. I think it's very hard because when we get in this state, I think emotional awareness, I think feeling anything is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It's discomfort. When people get happy, sometimes they get anxious. Now, what is anxious? Anxiety. Yeah, what is anxiety? What is anxious? It's a fancy word for scared. Stress is another one. See, we make that stuff up all the time. We just make up words. You know all words are made up, don't you? We made every one of them up. So don't take them too serious. People will be happy, things will be going good, and it scares them. This is, we make sayings up then. This is too good to be true. Isn't that strange? too good to be true, meaning this is scaring me to death. So let's celebrate, and I'll just knock this stuff off. I can get rid of this glad real quick. We're going to celebrate it away. It's always been quite odd. Now, when I'm mad or sad or scared, it starts making a little more logical sense that I might use and try to numb out and all that. But the reason we get to this position is it's uncomfortable. And you go back to our positive negative framework. What are you supposed to do with uncomfortable or discomfort? What are you supposed to do? Change it. Get rid of it. Make it comfortable. Make it go away. This is your real problem. Because here I am experiencing something that I believe to be uncomfortable. The message is, make uncomfortable comfortable. And if you can't do that, you're a loser. Which means I'm a loser. Because you can't do that. We're not supposed to. We're not put here to make uncomfortable comfortable. That's not the goal. It's not the task. Think about how you're organized around pain. You know, even pain can be viewed as simply pain. Pain does not have to be a problem. It can just be pain. It's uncomfortable. We don't ask for it. We don't necessarily like it, but it can be utilized. We can use it, okay, without maybe defeating it. So we get in these dilemmas because we're trying to avoid things that cannot be avoided. Let's go back to mad. We sat on glad a little bit. Let's go to mad. Have you ever been mad? Anybody ever been angry? Good. Okay. You're like me. So when you get angry sometimes, and this still happens, do you ever, in your own head, quietly to yourself, or not so quietly, do you go, stop that? I got no reason to be mad. Now, not every time, because a lot of times you go, oh, I got plenty of reason to be mad, and let me tell you what it is. I can line them out. So it's that way sometimes. Other times, though, you'll be feeling this mad, and then you start criticizing yourself for feeling mad. You with me? And you start trying to outthink what you feel. And you tell yourself all kinds of stuff. Don't this, don't that, shouldn't this, shouldn't that. I shouldn't feel this way. You ever said that? Yeah, or have you ever known anybody that's like, I know I shouldn't feel this way. This is a pretty common dilemma. I want you to think about that statement. I shouldn't feel this way, and I feel this way, and I shouldn't. I guess I'm a loser. Because saying I shouldn't feel that way, at least for me, maybe it has for you, but saying I shouldn't feel this way has never changed what I was feeling. Ever. In fact, if it did anything, it just tipped it up a little notch or two. I shouldn't feel angry. Well, that makes me more angry. So I'm out trying to think, I'm out thinking what's actually going on. You with me? We're trying to regulate or control something that is by saying something that isn't. That's a problem. That's a non-workable solution. You with me? To try to deal with something that is by saying something that is not, ain't going to start working. Ever. It only makes me more mad. And think of, I'm already saying that to myself. Let's say I'm brave enough then to share with you or somebody else. And what if they say, you shouldn't be mad? That's when I want to throat punch them. I've already told myself that. Now you're telling me that. So it just ramps up and up and up. Remember last time, that drives me where? It drives me to isolation. I quit talking. I quit sharing. I hold everything in. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Going to handle it myself. I'm going to outthink it. I'll fix it. Never works, right? Now, some of this stuff we're retreading. We got to get, to how we can possibly do this. In order to accept, we have to quit thinking. We have to stop trying to figure it out. Why is not the solution. What is? I'm going to sit with it. In order to sit with it, I have to increase my tolerance of discomfort. Make sense? I've got to be able to sit and feel what I feel. That'll get step 1 and step 2. Then I can share with myself or maybe with some other person. In that way, what is going on with mad, sad, glad, and scared, it's like a wave. It comes in, and then it goes back out. Wouldn't that be nice? Wave in, wave out. That's healthy. Notice that there's nothing that stops a wave. That's not the point. We need to allow the wave to what? Come in and go back out. What we've grown up with is we've held almost every wave that's come in. And if you do that, you're going to explode. And you're going to feel heavy and down. And sometimes maybe even hopeless, which is scary. And if I get tired of being scared and there's no other way to process it, makes it a pretty good idea to just numb out. We know that doesn't work either, but I'm talking about it makes sense at the time. How do we get these waves to come in and then roll back out? It's found in here. Accepting it and feeling it allows it to do that. Takes a little practice. Doesn't happen overnight. But I promise you it's easier than you think it is. Once practiced a time or two and you experience the wave coming in and then actually going back out, I've heard it hundreds of times. People go, that was not that hard. You mean I just can be mad? Yeah. Be mad and don't hit anybody with a boat oar. Right. That's negative. That's wrong. Being mad, not wrong. I can just be mad? Yeah. And feel it, and they come back and they go, I did that. I tried that. You know what? It worked. Yeah. He said, it was not that hard. I go, I don't know what to tell you. We can try to make it harder if you'll feel better. They go, no. I said, well, that's it. You're doing it. Now, keep in mind, you ever been to the lake? Or maybe even a pond? and we throw a stone in the pond and the little ripples, go out. Well, that's kind of like a wave. And sometimes emotions are about as tiny as those little ripples, right? That's pretty easy. Then we may be at the lake and a little bigger wave comes in. You with me? And then it might be like the ocean and a decent sized wave comes in, and then a big wave comes in, and then maybe something like a tsunami hits you. So you understand that the size of the wave can be different, right? If a tsunami comes in and hits me, some kind of life event that's out of my control or whatever the case may be, but it's a tsunami and it comes in and hits, that's a big old wave, right? So we're not expecting big, huge tidal waves to just go real quickly, right? It could be a pretty big wave. It comes in and we've got to really feel, and sometimes we have to really grieve, and we have to lean into what we're feeling and spend some time. And maybe we have to weep and mourn, and maybe we have to really lament. There's a book in Scripture called Lamentations, and no one reads it. Ever. You'll never go to church and they read out of Lamentations. Shouldn't say that, I hadn't been to all of them, but I ain't never seen it. Because it's a book of sadness and mourning and depression and weeping. And good Americans don't do that. We're not looking at that. So we lose a whole aspect of our humanity, our what we should be, even through the Scripture. We just don't look at it. Some waves are big, and we have to grieve them. Others are small. But here's the challenge for most of it. If I've been holding every wave that ever came in to me, and I'm full and heavy and weighted down, then even the little ripples set me off. Does that make sense? If I'm a 55-gallon drum and I'm full to the brim of water, the tiniest little tap on that barrel is going to what? Spill out. There's some stuff going to spill out from a little bitty tap. And then other barrels who are sitting around look at me and go, "You got a problem." And of course, yeah, I do. You're one of them, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, my problem is I'm full to the brim of held on to unprocessed emotion. And so every little thing that comes my way taps on it and it spills out and it's out of proportion. And people are going, you got a problem. People come and they go, I have an anger management problem. They'll sit down. I always like those because it's real quick. I go, no, you don't. And they're like, what? I go, you don't. No, I do. I got a real problem with anger management. I go, nah, not really. I said, you may have an action management problem. So tell me about your action. If you got action management problems, we can sort that pretty quick. But anger is not a problem. Anger is an emotion. Well, you see, they've got those two things tied together as if they don't take this action if they're not angry, which is not entirely false. It's just not a complete story. We don't have problems, okay, with our emotion when we learn to process them and feel what we need to feel. The wave may be big, may be small, but we let it come in and we let it go out. So, in your interactions with each other, when you're talking, And this is what takes practice, because what we're used to doing, if I were to sit down with you individually or in a small group and I would say, hey, well, what are you feeling today? First of all, remember what? You go, what do you mean? I try not to say how you're feeling, because that's a bad question. What are you feeling? You usually will tell me what you think is going on. So listen to each other. What are you feeling? People will go, well, I was walking down the road the other day and I went by a sign that was supposed to be, I'm just making stuff up, it doesn't matter, but you see what I'm saying? They start telling you what they think is going on. So when we process and when we share, and when this stuff tries to come together, we have to work real hard to identify what we're feeling, to feel what we're feeling, and then to somehow share or talk about what we're feeling. That's where it gets kind of dicey. Because it doesn't take long to talk about what I'm feeling. In fact, let me demonstrate. I'm scared. Next question. I'm mad. Next question. You see our fallacy then? Where do we jump to once I share? Instead of sharing, we tend to jump to, what'd you say? Why? Why are you mad? Please, I'm begging you, don't ever say that. See if you catch this. Why would we not say why? We start telling what's going on and we get away from what we're feeling. As if we can outthink what we feel. And sometimes it's really nice, because if I tell you why and you go, oh yeah, me too. Then I'm like, yeah, I've got an ally. And that does feel good, doesn't it? There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't expect it to help with what you're feeling. You with me? There's not anything wrong with getting an ally, especially if it's deserved. It's good. Allies feel good, but it's not going to help process what you're feeling. What helps that is saying this: I'm scared. And you know what? That's enough. Because if you're sitting with me, I go, I've been scared too. I know what that's like. And you're waiting for something else, but there ain't nothing else. It's almost magic. Because we sit there together and you start to feel less scared. That's share. Not very complicated, is it? Not complex. What's complex is all that why and stuff that's going on and figuring out. That's complicated. Absolutely. That can really get complicated. What I'm feeling is never complicated. And sharing it with each other or someone else is never complicated. I'm happy. I'm mad. I'm sad. I'm scared. Yeah, I got you, man. I know what that's like. Enough said. And you feel the wave kind of come in, and it'll kind of go back out. Let's stay on scared for a little bit, because I'm going to tell you, I'll walk down about any alley in this world if I got a buddy. If I got a buddy, if I got someone by my side, I'll go. That's how we get people to run into other people who are shooting at us. Crazy stuff like war. First of all, we get young people that ain't, we get young people and we go, hey, you do this because the guy next to you is going to do this, and y'all go for each other, and we go, okay. And they stands up and says, charge. And we go. And the only reason I go is because they're going with me. If we could get moms and women to run the world, we would get out of all that war junk, because they ain't going to send their boys and their girls to do that. And if we would wait until you couldn't do any of that until you were 25 years old, it wouldn't happen either. Because at 25, the front of your brain kind of finished developing, executive functioning, judgment. If they took 25-year-olds and tried to do that, they'd say, charge. And we would all go, yo, they're shooting. What have you missed? Charge? No. Cover. They'll run out of bullets or something sometime. You don't charge. Hey, let me educate you. You don't charge when someone's shooting. That only, you see. But the point is, scared needs a buddy. And when you say, I'm scared, and you are, because I am too, you can share that with each other. And it'll come, and it'll start going. I promise you, you don't have to figure anything out to get sober. Not really. You just show up and be a part of. That's it. And if we can get some traction on accepting and feeling it and sharing it and stay out of that part of talking about what's really going on, where it pulls us into trying to outthink what we feel, you have a chance for the transformative healing power that's of a higher power to move in and start doing what we feel are miracles. But I got to get out of the way, right? You know, Spirit can do a lot of stuff, but it cannot defeat my will. Even when my will is pointed towards improving or doing good, Spirit can't overcome my will. Step one, right? I'm powerless. If you're powerless, if we're powerless, let's sit down and be still and quit trying. Yeah, we can't quit trying. Yeah, let's quit trying. If I quit trying, I'm scared. Yeah, I know what that's like. Jesus was scared too. We're in good company. I'm offering for your consideration to move into this scary realm of feeling what you're feeling. Even though your whole life has been kind of pointed towards the other way. Reject it, hide from it, avoid it, get it out, fix it, figure it out. Okay, set that down. Come sit with each other and real quietly just share what you're feeling. So, that's it. The lesson's yours. I've run out of things that I'm thinking about saying. Thank you all for being here. Freedom Talks out there, thank you. We appreciate you. Y'all are